Thank you for joining me today, Irving High School, Irving ISD, and of course me, the Irving Black Arts Council, in celebrating Black History Month. And with our young people and achieving what we've done while recognizing and recommitting ourselves to education and helping our students fulfill our promises of tomorrow. It's an honor to share this with you, Ashlee, today, and with all of you guys.
Thank you, Miss LaNita. My first question is, why do we celebrate Black History Month?
Oh my God, I am so glad you asked that. For me and for probably everybody, it's all about equal representation. Black Americans make up an essential and important contributions to probably every aspect of American life, from our national fabric to our international stature. February is designated Black History Month, and we highlight these contributions to remember and to celebrate our role in U.S. history. A lot of these contributions have not been included in the U.S. history that is taught. We highlight them so that there is probably a way to appreciate them so that they are, or that we are inspired by them. Telling our stories, it also reminds others to tell their story. And to me, that really unites us.
Mm-hmm. So the colors of the flag are green, red, and yellow, correct?
Mm-hmm, that's correct.
What do they represent?
Oh my gosh. And I think for teenagers, nobody's ever asked me that question. No. What do they represent? So the black represents the resilience of our ancestors from slavery. The red represents the blood of the innocent Black lives shed throughout history. Yellow, oh, my favorite. Yellow is optimism. It's justice. It's equality. Green symbolizes the rich greenery and the natural resources from Africa, where most of the slaves were brought from. Great question. You got another one for me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Why is Black History Month celebrated specifically in February?
Oh, Black History Month, the first iteration was actually Negro History Week. Created in February in 1926 by Carter G. Woodson, known as the father of Black history. February was chosen by Woodson for a week-long observance, okay? So it coincides with the birth dates of both former U.S. President Abe Lincoln and social reformer Frederick Douglass. Both men played a significant role in helping to end slavery. But in 1976, President Gerald Ford officially recognized the month, and in 1986, Congress passed it into law.
So it has a long history as to why it's in February.
It is. It's a lot goes into that.
I see.
I love it.
So in this new year, 2024, what is the theme?
Yeah, there's always a national theme. You can, as I do always, Google it. But our theme for 2024 is Americans in the Arts. So that goes right along with the Black Arts Council, right? In the fields of visual and performing arts, literature, fashion, folklore, language, film, music, architecture, culinary, and all the other forms of cultural expressions. The African American influence has been paramount. Our grandparents, who was porters and farmers and janitors and domestics by day, they was carpenters, they found each other at night and on the weekends. You know what we do on the weekends. But mainly they did it to reclaim their dignity and their beauty. When they were out dancing, they were out singing and painting, or they were speaking the spoken word, as we called it. In hard times, art remains our hide in plain sight defense against the images that fed so many negative stereotypes. And in good times, well, it just felt good for us to celebrate. So today we're gonna look at and look back at some Black students who actually made history.
Like Ruby Bridges?
Oh, that's a good one. And I passed some of the doors that was decorated today at Irving High School.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I was so impressed. Let's talk about Ruby Bridges. She was only 6 years old when she was the first student to integrate an elementary school in New Orleans, Louisiana. After the landmark ruling in Brown v. Board of Education, which ended or should have ended the racial segregation in public schools in 1960. On her first day to her new school, Ruby and her mother arrived with 4 U.S. Marshals for protection. Ruby saw a massive crowd of people. They was shouting at her. They was throwing things. They was carrying signs. And as she approached the schools. Now, you got to remember, Ruby was 6 years old.
Right.
Girl, she thought it was Mardi Gras. As soon as Ruby entered William Franks Elementary, families took their children out of school. They were scared. They was afraid. On the second day, a little white girl broke the boycott, and they entered the school. After a few days, other white families started bringing their children back to school, and the protest sort of subsided. However, only one teacher, Miss Barbara Henry, was willing to teach Ruby. For the remainder of the school year, Ruby was in a class by herself with Miss Henry. Miss Ruby and the school teacher too, they was tormented routinely. Wow. But Ruby was tormented on her way to school. One woman threatened to poison her. Another woman showed up with a coffin with a little black doll in it. Oh my gosh, it was not good. The federal marshals had to escort her to the restroom just to keep her safe. One of the marshals assigned to Ruby, Charles Burks, proudly said to her later that she showed so much courage. He said that she never cried, she never whimpered, she just marched along like a little soldier. So if you want to learn more about Ruby, she did write a book. It's called Through My Eyes.
So much courage at the age of just 6, right?
6 years old.
Wow, that's a lot to go through
It's
at 6.
a lot to go through. It's a lot to go through.
What about Claudette Colvin?
I know. Now, if you tell me you've heard of Claudette Colvin, I would just fall out my chair right now. Because most people have not. They've heard of Rosa Parks, right? Mm-hmm. And I know you've heard of Rosa Parks. Right. But Claudette Colvin was actually the first black to not give up her seat for a white person during so many months of the infamous civil rights riots and stuff. She was arrested and taken to jail even though she was a minor. She was only 15. I don't know how old you are, but she was only 15. Because of her age, the NAACP chose not to use her case to challenge the segregation laws. She was afraid of the backlash of her actions, but she stood by her choice, and she was a true activist at 15 years old.
And who's Judge Motley?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked about her, especially since we've got a black woman on the Supreme Court, right? Wow, this lady actually inspired her. She is Judge Constance Baker Motley. She's the first black woman to become a federal judge. When she was 15, she was turned away from a public beach because she was black, and it sparked her interest in civil rights. After obtaining her law degree from Columbia Law School, Motley went on to represent Martin Luther King Jr. as a young lawyer and become a law clerk for none other than Thurgood Marshall, aiding him in that case, remember, Brown v. Board of Education.
Right.
She was the first black woman to argue the Supreme Court and argued 10 landmark civil rights cases. She won 9 of them.
Wow.
How amazing is that?
Amazing.
She took an interest in politics, and because she was the first black woman to serve in the New York State Senate, but her political career was cut short when she became the first black woman to be appointed to a federal judge. Wow.
That's
I know.
A lot.
I know. It's a lot. She was amazing. And there's a stamp. This year's Black Heritage stamp is Judge Motley. So you can go buy a stamp after her.
Get a stamp for Judge Motley, y'all.
Yeah. Whoever still mails letters, right?
Now, who is Roy L. Clay?
You'll be interested in him. And this is our last one, I promise. This is our last one. He is known as the Black Godfather of Silicon Valley. Mr. Clay broke down barriers for blacks in technology. He helped launch Hewlett-Packard's computer division in the late 1960s. His recruitment and development of talent alone has helped usher in the next generation of black tech innovators. He grew up in Kinloch, Missouri. Now you're going, where is Kinloch, right?
Yeah.
As a teenager, he grew up right outside of Ferguson. But he was encouraged by the local police to leave this majority white town. He was encouraged. All he was doing was mowing yards. So despite that, his parents told him, you will face racism all your life, but don't ever let that be a reason why you don't succeed. He attended St. Louis University on a mathematics scholarship, but guess what he wanted to do?
What?
He wanted to play baseball. That's all he really wanted to do. He was one of the first black graduates from SLU with a bachelor's degree, but he couldn't find work in technology. You know why?
Why?
Because they told him they didn't hire professional Negroes.
Wow.
I know it was disheartening for him to be sure, for sure. But he pressed on. In 1958, he was a programmer at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. There, he met none other than David Packard, who encouraged him to apply for a job. And in 1962, he joined Hewlett-Packard. He became the director of the team who developed HP 2116A. That was the first mini computer.
Wow.
I know, right? Now,
That
can
is
you
such an
imagine?
accomplishment.
I know. Can you imagine a world without computers?
I can't. I can't.
That was Mr. Roy. And I loved reading and learning about him. So I share his story all the times. But Ashlee, these are but a few examples of teens in our history and our recent history, because Mr. Roy is actually still living. I think he's like 95 or 96 years old.
Wow.
Who are courageous. They stood up. They made a difference in their own way. And by sharing these stories, by thinking about what they did, I think it motivates us. It inspires us to never be silent. Dr. King said it like this. He said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. So I hope that encourages you too. Our history and those who made history really does matter. So let's now look at some of the teens who are making history right now.
Like J.J. Patton?
Yes. Now here's what JJ did. Due to her personal experience with the unjust and oppressive prison system, teenager, and I'm bad with names, Jay Anaya or JJ Patson and her father Anton, an ex-prisoner, they developed the Photo Patch, a program and mobile app that connects imprisoned parents and their children. She learned to code when she was just 10 years old.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
That's impressive.
At 12, she created her first app in her dad's nonprofit, the Photo Patch Foundation. Then at 16, she was a high school junior and helping to run the foundation and a coding academy.
Wow.
I know. Kudos to JJ. She was featured in 17 magazine, and she said, I really enjoy it because it's not what the normal 16-year-old would be doing. And I think it's just getting me prepared for even bigger things in life.
Wow. Such accomplishments, right?
I know. For JJ, yes.
Right. What about David Price?
David Price is another one. He created the safety patch. Now, you're going to love this. It's a way to make traffic stops safer for people of color, a way to streamline interactions with the cops at a traffic stop. Because you and I both know, and if you haven't, your parents have what we call, for black and brown kids, the talk. When he first got his driver's license, his parents gave him the talk about the dangers of black individuals when we're interacting with police. So he set out to design a solution that would make these kinds of interactions smoother and safer, and he came up with the pouch. A bright orange pouch for holding the ID and other documents. It's easy to grab it off the sun visor, snap it on the window, and keep your hands in plain sight. He paid for it by doing what he called his hustle jobs, or mowing lawnmowers in between time. I thought that was a brilliant idea.
Yeah, very brilliant, and it helps with safety too.
Yes, without endangering anybody and being respectful to our guys in blue. I love him. I love him.
Love it. What about Mari Copney?
Oh my goodness. Mari Copney. We know her as Lil Miss Flint, right? At age 12 years old, she spent a third of her life advocating for change in her hometown of Flint, Michigan. And here's why. It all started when she wrote a letter to then President Barack Obama about the ongoing Flint water crisis, urging him to do something about the toxins contaminating their water. He accepted Mari's invitation to meet with her, garnering a national attention to the Flint and the struggles of its residents. How many of us has wrote to the president and we never heard back?
Right.
He heard her. The water crisis still isn't over, and Mari is demanding that the world not forget about Flint and other towns affected. She continues to empower young people. You have to look her up. She's actually a very, very, very empowered young lady. So I'm really, really proud of the work that they're doing. Me
too. And it all starts at a young age, seems like with every single one of them.
I tell you guys, if you see something, say something.
Right.
Do something. It's amazing.
You're never too young.
No, never too young.
Black history is indeed our history.
Yes, it is. And an excellent time to celebrate, to study together, to share together. I mean, it is a time for me, it's all about the whole celebration, our food, our music, our history. It has certainly influenced America, in that we take that entire thing with us, not just for February. It really is a 12-month thing that we do all within ourselves. I love celebrating. You can tell that, right?
Yeah, me too. And I encourage everybody to learn about Black history, or just their history in general.
Yeah, I say that all the time. To learn your history, talk to your parents, talk to your grandparents, your librarian, even here at school. Just because it's not taught does not mean it's not here and available to you. At your church, talk to your pastor, talk to your youth leader. Like Dr. King, many of our greatest leaders started at church and in the community.
How can we get involved?
Thank you for asking that. That is the best thing. Celebrate with each other. Yeah. No matter what race you are, all of us got history to be proud of. If you're Mexican, Irish, German, Asian, talk to each other, celebrate with each other. When you do that, that unites us. That's how I started this, talking about unity. If you see something, say something, participate. There is a wealth of activities right here in Irving. We have the Irving Youth Council right across the street at Lively Point Youth Center. The Irving Art Center offers a lot of classes, a lot of activities for our teens. The Irving Library and the Irving Archives and Museums is a wealth of knowledge. There are museums right here in Irving that a lot of our teens don't even know about and go to. The Irving Carrollton NAACP is open to all and offers student scholarships annually. And I'm the president of the Irving Black Arts Council. We also are open to everyone and would love to have you join us and volunteer with our organization. And don't forget, you get volunteer hours just for participating and having a great time.
Great.
So yeah, it is a great time to participate, to learn, and get out there in the community and do it right here with your school.
So Black History Month really reminds us to think deeper and dig deeper.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much, Ashlee.
Thank you so much for being here.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Thank you. This has been Miss LaNita, and I've been Ashlee Henderson. Now back to our KIRV for more news.